There are times in life when everything seems frozen, when prayers seem unanswered, when waiting becomes heavy, almost unbearable. It is precisely in these moments that Allah whispers to your heart, "Be calm, my promise is near." And be patient, for the promise of Allah is true. Quran, Surah Ar-Rum 30:60. Have you ever wondered why relief is so slow in coming? Why, despite all your pleas, nothing changes? Maybe because you are on the verge of a miracle, and that the test is the prelude to transformation. When you look up at the sky at night in the infinite silence that envelops the earth, you might think that God has forgotten you, that your cry has been lost in the echo of the stars, that your pain has been drowned in the immensity of the universe. And yet, it is often in these silences that the deepest answer is hidden, because Allah, He, never abandons you. He listens, He sees, He knows, and He acts with a wisdom that surpasses anything your hurried heart can comprehend. For when you are in the darkness of the well as Yusuf was, rejected, betrayed, misunderstood, you believe you are experiencing an injustice, when in reality Allah traces a secret path to a destiny you could not even imagine. A throne hidden in the trial, a light that only divine silence can prepare, and this silence is precisely not a void, but a matrix where your faith is shaped like gold in the furnace. It is there that your soul learns to breathe without proof, to love without seeing, to hope without guarantees, for Allah does not test you to break you, but to elevate you beyond what you believe yourself to be, and every apparent delay, every prayer that seems to remain unanswered, every night when you ask yourself, "Where is my answer?" is in reality a moment of silent writing in the book of your destiny. And when He delays, it is never without purpose. It is so that you may grow first within, so that your heart may become a vessel capable of containing the blessing He is preparing, for He never sends a blessing on a still dry land. He waits for you to be fertile in faith, and perhaps what you are experiencing now is not a punishment, but a slow, secret, perfect construction, like a seed under the earth, invisible to the eyes but alive, active, splitting to give birth to a plant that will later bear fruit. Remember that even the prophets, the most beloved of Allah, knew divine silence, and this silence was never a rejection, but a casket of purity in which their patience shone. And you too are invited to taste this silence as a sacred resting place where your soul is repaired, because the outside world sees only your waiting, your stillness. But Allah sees your inner struggle, your hidden effort, your silent courage, and that is what He rewards, not your visible success, but your constancy in the invisible. And sometimes what you call a delay is only a divine repositioning. You wanted a door here, but Allah prepares a better one for you elsewhere. You wanted an answer today, but Allah wants to give you wisdom that will last forever. So do not despair of this silence. Do not fill it with doubt. Learn to contemplate it as a letter that God writes to you with invisible ink. And remember that the silence of Allah is often the purest proof of His closeness, because even when you think He is absent, He surrounds you, He lifts you up, He watches over you, and He writes a story that you will understand one day, perhaps not now, but at the perfect moment, the one when He will say, "Be," and what you have waited for years will become reality in an instant. There is a pain that cannot be seen, an inner burning that others do not understand, the one that you carry in silence every day with that smile that hides the exhaustion and that strength that you display when, deep down, you just want to collapse. But you continue, despite the cracks, despite the sleepless nights, despite the prayers that accumulate like sighs thrown into the void, because perhaps, without realizing it, what you are experiencing at this moment is not an evil, but a purification, a sacred fire that does not come to destroy you, but to make you pure, like gold plunged into extreme heat until all its impurities evaporate. And sometimes Allah puts you in situations that break you just enough to rebuild you truer, more sincere, stronger, because He knows that as long as your heart is attached to what is not Him, you cannot steal. And so He tears away, He cleanses, He strips, not out of cruelty but out of love, so that your soul returns to Him free, washed, freed from the noise of the world. Look at Ayub, peace be upon him, eaten away to the marrow, abandoned even by those who loved him, with nothing but his faith. And it was when he cried out, not in revolt, but in sincere abandonment, "O my Lord, evil has touched me," that the mercy of Allah descended, and the fire was extinguished with a single divine breath. Because sometimes Allah waits for you to cry, only purifies those whom He wants to bring closer. He only tests those whom He elevates. And perhaps at this precise moment when you think you are losing everything, you are in reality being repositioned for something much higher than what you imagined. What if this pain was the sacred language of a cry to your Lord? What if this pain you feel now was not the end, but the beginning of a radical transformation of your heart? Never forget that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "When Allah loves a servant, He tests him. So if you are tested, do not look for the way out. Look for wisdom. Look for the presence of Allah in the test. Look for the meaning behind the suffering, and you will see that at the end of the pain, there is a light that only those who have passed through the fire can see, and that a faith that has survived the test is worth more than 1,000 prayers said in ease, because Allah does not look at your comfort. He looks at your endurance, your sincerity, your return to Him in distress. And sometimes, that elevation that you have been asking for years, it could only come through this test that you are experiencing now. There is a peace that comes not from the absence of problems, but from the presence of God in the chaos. A peace that comes not when everything around you falls into place, but when your heart ceases to resist what you cannot control. And in that peace there is a form of faith so powerful that it transforms trial into worship, expectation into offering, doubt into silent trust. "Be still," says Allah. This is not just an injunction to calm down. It is a divine call to lay down your inner weapons, to stop fighting the unseen, to sit at the edge of the tumult and watch Him do it. For what you do not control, He controls perfectly. And if your heart could see what He is orchestrating for you in secret, it would never know turmoil again. But because you do not yet see, He calls you to do a rare act, an act almost forgotten today. To trust without understanding, to trust without proof, like that poor man who every night emptied his heart in sincere prayers, even though his pockets were empty, his future uncertain. And one evening, after having lost everything, he simply said, "My Lord has never left me." And it was there, in that peaceful submission, that divine help descended without warning, like rain on dry land. For Allah does not always come when you expect Him, but He never delays coming when your heart is ready. The heart, He recognizes it. It is the one that no longer needs signs to believe, the one that rests in trust as in a cradle, even if the outside howls in the storm. And you, what will you do in that silence? Will you fill the emptiness with questions, with panic, with suppositions? Or will you choose to inhabit this silence as one enters into prayer, gently, slowly, with this silent certainty that your Lord is listening to you even when He does not yet respond? Perhaps the purest faith is not the one that hopes loudly, but the one that waits calmly, in that calm that does not come from the world, but from within, from the secret bond between you and the one who never disappoints. Because placing your trust in Allah is not blinding yourself, it is awakening to a vaster reality, that of a Lord who does not sleep, who does not forget you, who loves you with perfect knowledge, even when you no longer feel anything. And sometimes He takes away your sensations so that you do not confuse emotion with faith. Because true faith, the one that nothing can extinguish, is the one that remains even when you no longer feel the heat, even when prayers become dry, even when waiting becomes silence. And in that calm, there is a miracle, because it liberates, it lightens you, it opens you to an intimacy with God that words can no longer contain, and perhaps what you expect from the outside will come only when the inside is ready. So learn to settle down in the peace of Allah, not as a gesture of weakness, but as an act of greatness. For it takes courage not to give in to restlessness. It takes a rare faith to say, I do not know what awaits me, but I know that God is with me. And if you achieve this, even for a moment, then you will have touched one of the highest forms of tawakkul, a sacred tranquility, a peaceful submission, an inner light that no longer depends on anything other than Him. It only takes a moment, a single breath, a fraction of a second for everything to change, for the sky to open, for the chains to break, for the night that seemed eternal to transform into a brilliant dawn, because when Allah decides, He needs neither process nor human logic, nor accumulation of efforts. He says, be, and it is, without delay, without hesitation, without condition. And this truth should burn in your heart like a sacred fire. Your miracle does not depend on your merit, but on His will. And this will can fall upon you at any moment, even in the moment of your greatest doubt, even when you believe it is too late, even when you have no more strength, because Allah does not need your energy. He just needs your heart turned towards Him, even on your knees, even in tears, even in silence. And look at the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, humiliated, rejected, isolated in the streets of Mecca, his heart broken by the ignorance of his people, and then in a single night, al-Isra wa al-Mi'raj, a celestial ascension, an unequaled honor, a journey beyond time and space, because Allah had said, now. And this divine now does not follow any human calendar. It arises, it pierces, it upsets. It makes years of pain crumble to dust in a single glance of His mercy. So why do you continue to believe that because nothing has changed for a long time, nothing will ever change? What if this night was the last one you cry for this ordeal? What if tomorrow, or even in an hour, an unexpected message, a call, a door, a gesture, a look, came to turn everything upside down because Allah will have decided that it is the moment, your turning point, your miracle. There is no distance between you and the relief of Allah, except that which your despair builds. And when He commands change, even the hardest stone gives way, even the sea splits, even death becomes life, for He is the one who made water a spring for Ishmael in the heart of the desert, the one who split the sea for Musa, the one who restored sight to Yaqub, the one who brought Yunus out of the whale's belly. And this same God, yours, has not changed. He has not become less capable. He has not become less close. He has not become less loving. So do not bury your faith under the weight of passing time, for every second could be that of your overthrow. Every breath could carry within it the decision that will erase your sorrows, for the divine rule knows neither slowness nor impossibility. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَنْ يَقُولَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونَ. He said, be, and that east, immediately, without transition, without logic, without anyone being able to stop it. And your role is not to understand when is comment, but to stay there, ready, awake, in faith, in noble expectation, the one that does not doubt the miracle, even after 1,000 nights of tears, because your miracle is not late, it is just perfectly timed, and maybe it begins now. This message is for the one who almost gave up, for the one who said to herself, I can't take it anymore. For you who seek a sign, here it is, rest assured, your situation is about to change. and your Lord has neither forsaken you nor hated you. Quran Ad-Duha 93:3. Hold on to this truth. Allah is closer to you than your own distress. And when He decides, everything is transformed. Before you go, make sure you have done subscribe. Thank you very much.